Hi, I'm Dalvet Quince. One way to help manage type 2 diabetes is to regularly exercise. My exercise program can help get you into a routine that works for you. Keep in mind, managing blood sugar also takes the right
diet. Hi, I'm celebrity chef Franklin Becker. Ever since I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I've adapted my cooking style without sacrificing flavor. If you want to learn more tips about diet
and exercise,
visit mytype2transformation.com.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Kevin Flynn, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts, and on this episode, a journalist tries to evaluate whether a source on a sensitive story is reliable. What he finds is a more interesting story. We'll talk about the Audible original podcast, Not a Very Good Murderer, from Ronan Farrow. Joining me to get that done and more is private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of The Final Curtain, Laura Bricker. Hello, Laura.
Hey, Kevin. How's it going? I'm answering pet detective calls as I'm trying to tape this podcast, so life is good.
I love how you can multitask.
Mm-hmm.
Also joining us is our captain of all things cynical, author of the City Trilogy, host of Rip Current, Strange Arrivals, and the Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast, Toby Ball. Hello, Toby.
Hello, Kevin.
And finally, sitting in for the double-booked Rebecca Lavoie is superfan, friend of the show, and first to respond on Facebook, Megan Melgaris. Megan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we won't say exactly where you're from, but you are definitely stealing some time from your employer to do this, right?
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's between semesters, so there's no students around, so it's pretty quiet here.
All right, well, let's see. As I said, Rebecca is double booked with something, so instead of kicking the rest of us out, we thought it was better to just kick her out. I'll take over for once. She's like, I've only not been on one show out of the 600 whatever. So I said, okay, you can take it off. We'll find a great replacement. That's Megan. Now, Megan, try not to do too good of a job.
No danger of that.
I think the last time Rebecca missed, we did another diamond mystery that week.
We did. Oh, the missing diamonds. That was the one about
by like an 8-year-old or a 6-year-old.
Yeah, she wrote like this little podcast.
Oh, that was so cute.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I think that's a different diamond heist altogether. And we're going to be talking about that on Thursday's show. As I was about to say, on Thursday, we'll be talking about the diamond heist from Netflix. We have all sorts of exciting news here in Crime Writers On world. And this was something that we've been keeping secret for a long time. But it finally burst out onto the pages of Variety. Toby, can you give us an update on what is happening with the podcast Strange Arrivals?
Sure. So for about 4 years, there's been a Strange Arrivals movie that's been in various forms of development and stuff that's really focuses on Betty and Barney Hill, which was the focus of the first season. Well, it finally is going to come to fruition. On Friday, they put out a press release that said that Demi Moore and Coleman Domingo are going to be the two leads. This guy, Roger Ross Williams, is going to be the director, and he's great, and he's having a moment. So, yeah, it's really exciting. I've been traveling in the Pacific Northwest. So it's kind of funny that happened while I was out of town. So I've been kind of dealing with that in half. And I'm also doing research up here and a lot of driving around. So it's been a pretty crazy, last 5 days.
Oh, we're so excited once you told us. You're right. I mean, this was years ago. And we've been sort of following along in the ups and downs. But we are usually indiscreet. But we were very discreet about this. We're so happy. We're going to talk about more about this in the after show because it really has been a great journey, and it's you're only really beginning it at this point. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
Just one thing. Are we all going to the red carpet opening?
I was just going to say that. I was like, I am ready.
We're going to have like a little clown car and we're all going to like climb out of it.
Super.
To the astonishment of the paparazzi. Yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, how about we do the thing that we do? No, that isn't how we start. That's how we usually finish this, right? What does Rebecca say when we do like the leading off?
Leading off.
I'll just say.
This week, Ronan Farrow has been doing this project.
Perfect.
Laura Bricker. We already have Megan angling to take over for Rebecca. And now you're angling to take over for Rebecca. And if anyone is going to take over for Rebecca, it's me.
Okay, carry on.
Okay. All right. We're going to land this plane and then take off again. God damn it. I really need to have a better script than all of this. How about we just say this? Leading off.
Hello?
Hello, is this Celia?
Yes.
Hello, Celia. My name is Ronan Farrow. I'm a writer at The New Yorker. How are you?
How are you?
I'm
You
doing...
don't sound like Ronan Farrow.
While writing his latest Me Too-related story, Ronan Farrow reaches out to a wealthy and histrionic aging beauty queen who's made allegations against a powerful politician. As he tries to decide whether CeCe Doane is a credible source, he learns the woman is connected to a jewel heist, an arson, and murder attempts on 2 husbands.
Do you believe now that CeCe Doane was plotting to kill Jim?
Yes.
That's a very firm, immediate answer.
Yes.
B to C.
Intrigued by the colorful figure, Farrow switches his focus to CeCe's life story and the cold cases attached to her. What he discovers is a complicated woman shaped by drama of her own making, whose truths don't neatly fit with reality.
Whether she could be a credible source in an investigative story or not, I realized there is a lot to learn from the times and alleged, often unsolved crimes of CeCe Doane.
I must be the worst person to kill anybody.
From Audible Original and Neon Hum comes Not a Very Good Murderer. Farrow combines true crime and character study as he tries to learn what's real and what CeCe wants him to think is real. What begins as an exercise in journalistic due diligence turns into an exploration of nefarious deeds, substance abuse, family dysfunction, and political extremism. Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about plot points from Not a Very Good Murderer. So if you want to remain spoiler-free, go to the estimated time code in our show notes for our thumbs up, thumbs down reviews. Okay, Laura, did it take you a long time to get hooked on this podcast?
Absolutely not. I'm on my 2.2 a day walks in the month of May, and I set out and started listening to this, and I'm like, oh, this is so interesting, because in the first 5 minutes, it's like, and there's a claim that she killed her husband with Viagra. And I'm like, oh, or tried to kill her husband with Viagra. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be interesting. It's just set up in such a way that I'm like, this is a character that's going to be super fascinating. I love the way that Ronan Farrow tells the story. And I know that it's going to be just supremely researched because of the type of journalist that he is. But I was just like, oh, this is great. And then when you hear CeCe's voice for the first time, you're like, oh, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is, we say in the intro that she's histrionic. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I think that's one way to put it. She's a big personality. So, Toby, what was your original take, your early take on CeCe?
I guess I had a couple things. First of all, I don't know what the equivalent of guy is these days for women. So I'm going with doll from Guys and Dolls. I think it's a get a load of this doll show. You know, it really kind of rises and falls on how like sort of amusing and off kilter she is. You know, my sense from the beginning and throughout the whole thing is this feels like a little bit like a sort of minor project that he was involved in something bigger, interviewed her, started vetting, and then was like, wow, this person is really quite something, and decided to make something about her. You know, obviously it's not going to be a book, and maybe an article didn't seem like it was going to be able to capture really the true CeCe experience. So he decided to do a podcast, which I think was the right medium for it. Again, it doesn't seem like it's the kind of stuff that we're used to getting from him, which is like really kind of groundbreaking stuff on Harvey Weinstein or whatever that Israeli security agency was.
Not Blackwater. What was that?
I know it's Black Cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And so this just seemed like in the wake of those sort of really compelling and important investigations, this seems sort of minor. It's certainly not as much at stake.
Yeah. Now, Megan, Toby's right. I mean, the stakes here are, well, I guess less than some of these other investigations that Farrow's been involved in. But that doesn't necessarily mean that this isn't a good journey or a story worth listening to. What do you think?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't think the stakes are really that big, although it hits on a lot of like really important general themes. But I mean, I couldn't stop listening. Like, I just wanted to know what the heck this lady was going to get up to next. And it was very propulsive. Like, there was always something crazy happening at the next episode. And I just needed to know what other shenanigans she was going to get up to.
Yeah, I mean, I think the word that comes to mind for me is thirsty. This woman is sort of like a bottomless...
swirling her wine glass.
Well, we got to talk about the drinking later, because that's actually an interesting theme here that runs throughout her life story here. But as far as like a bottomless pit of attention seeking...
When we were on the phone and I was typing up notes, she'd often take a moment to remind me that she owned a lot of nice things.
Ronan, I have 2 Rolls Royces.
Yeah.
That are paid for, that are not leased.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems to be part of like who she is, and maybe that's what was appealing about her. I found it entertaining, but would be super annoying in real life. Somebody would just call you and demands your attention, and especially that, let's just say, like, not always there. I love that she can't stop saying things are cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But it isn't just like Ronan Farrow who gets like caught up in this telephone chain. It's like the chief of police. And before that, it was probably a whole bunch of other people where she could just reach out and sort of demand their attention, their validation. It makes for an interesting character. But then when you combine that with alcoholism and anger, then it manifests itself in all these sort of weird different ways. And so I do appreciate that was a way that we kind of explored that. Laura, so do you feel like that you have deciphered CeCe? Like, is this like somebody that you can kind of figure out who she really is, or do you need to?
She's a very complex character. And I think at the end, that's one of the things is I'm like, okay, what is the takeaway about this woman? Like, are we really ever going to figure her out? A couple themes really came through for me. And I'm like, the thing I have figured out is the theme of alcoholism in her life and how that plays into her being a, number one, reporter of what happened, or not reporter because she doesn't remember what happened. And also her interactions with her family and her friends and everybody else around her, and how that is shaped by what time of the day you happen to encounter her. But I could just see her, the way that he described her, just sitting there with her styrofoam cup and her ice and her Pinot Grigio, and just like this dramatic, like Auntie Mame kind of character in her wealthy enclave of like-minded folks out in Arizona. And there's so much about her that you're like, is that really true? Like when she says, like, I never read any of the articles about me. Like, I never read the Die Hard article. I'm like, really? But then when you find out that like her husband never actually tells her some things that have happened, it's like she's living in this just bubble of alcohol for all these years, and all these crazy things happen in her life, and she can kind of just say whatever she wants because she's done that forever. And it's just a window into a caricature of somebody that doesn't even feel real. But at the end, like you said, I don't think that we were actually going to be set up so that we could decipher her. I think it's sort of like a food for thought sort of thing. Like at the end, like there's a lot to think about after you hear about this woman. She's pretty much indecipherable, I think. I as far as the alcohol, I was going to say put a pin in it, but let's put the plug in that jug. And I want to come back to that. But Megan, I want to ask, what do you think of Jim? Laura brought it up. This is her current husband, and this was the husband who apparently was the target of her second murder attempt on a spouse. And even though that's happened, it's in the past, and he is a very dutiful husband, maybe an enabler. I wanted to get your sense of Jim.
Well, I think any of us, if we've experienced someone who can be extremely volatile, and for whatever reason he wants to stay in her life, like it's easier just to insulate them from things that are going to piss them off.
The question was, why didn't I want to mention the fire to CeCe? And my answer was I didn't see any need to upset her.
I could see how he would cultivate a particular fantasy life for her so that she doesn't have to confront anything hard. And it just kind of seems like he's just placating to avoid conflict. And I mean, I know a lot of people like that would rather just sit in a bad situation instead of trying to make it better. And this is his coping mechanism.
Yeah. And I really wonder, like, whether confronting CeCe with reality is an endeavor worth taking, Megan, because it seems like...
Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, he probably pretty much knows that, like, that's that. Toby, what do you think about CeCe and Jim's relationship?
I think it reinforces the idea that it's hard to figure out what's going on in marriages sometimes. I mean, my sense there was a movie a long time ago, and I can't remember what it's called, that had like Tommy Lee Jones and Jessica Lange, I think. Jessica Lange plays a woman with mental health and substance abuse problems. And Tommy Lee Jones like loves her and is just basically trying to manage her and keep her as happy and as undisturbed as possible, given her personality. And it kind of feels the same way here. It's just like, let's not throw too much bad news her way. Let's not like dwell on the fact that she probably tried to kill me. Let's just kind of keep everything as sort of placid and cool going forward, even if it means sort of manipulation through omission. Like, I'm not going to tell her stuff that's happened, or if she does something that's bad, like, I'm not really going to confront her about it, because what's the point?
She's got to be wild in bed for him to stick around.
There's something going on.
You know?
Well, that's an image I hadn't thought of. I'm just going to overlook
that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I guess they didn't really talk to the kids that much about what do you think about your mom's relationship with her new husband. But that would have been kind of interesting if they'd even met him at this point. But I mean, she obviously like seems to cause destruction, whether on purpose or by accident, with people she's close to. And this just may seem like the easiest way to kind of deal with all that.
Yeah, I got to say that I don't know if either of the women that I married want to kill me, but I would suggest if they do, overdosing me with Viagra would probably be the way I want to go.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you have to call the doctor after 4 hours, I don't know if this means you have to call after 8 hours or you have to call after 2 hours when you double up on the Viagra. But I tell you, it's not hard to join us on Patreon. Nothing.
Ouch.
That one didn't go anywhere. No, Megan liked it.
I was internally groaning.
You were internally groaning, as one does when they die of a Viagra overdose.
That's true.
It's very easy to join us at Patreon, patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media. You get all sorts of exclusive content like the CWO After Show. Like I said earlier, we're going to take a deep dive into Toby Ball's Strange Arrivals movie, all the stuff that's been going on. Maybe he can mention the names of some of the other celebrities that have been attached to this over the years, or maybe we'll talk about what we're going to do at the red carpet premiere. It's a really interesting story, and Laura and I don't even know all the details yet, so we're hoping to get a little more. Another great exclusive podcast is Rebecca's Readathon. It's about the Karen Reed trial. It's hard to keep this target moving here, but she's had me on for a couple of these, and I got to say, the talks about what is happening on cross-examination of these prosecution witnesses is really fascinating, and we're getting a lot of people joining Patreon just for this podcast. It's great. Another exclusive podcast that you can get is Laura Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast, where Laura solves mysteries, release mysteries to her in her quaint AF town of Exeter, New Hampshire. We know that she is a certified pet detective, and she has had to use that skill for her own household, right?
I have, yeah. My cat Zelda went missing before I went on vacation last month. And it seems like that kicked off just a spell of missing cats in Exeter. And I have been like nonstop helping people with cats since then.
I'm not going to say that this is why, but when you put like sardine oil all over the property, maybe that's why other cats keep disappearing.
I don't know.
I'm just saying you don't need
that's
the
an
chief.
Evil laugh.
Yes. So you don't need to get the police chief from Paradise Valley to come in and let you know that there might be a problem there. Another exclusive podcast is Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club, where he brings on very smart people and they talk about good books. The last one was kind of a bleak but very interesting book called American Prison. And Toby, the author was somebody who did he go undercover as a prison guard?
Yeah, I mean, he said that he wouldn't lie if he was sort of caught out. But yeah, this started off as an article from Mother Jones, and because they won't just let you into a prison to report on the conditions, he went through. Why. Yeah, exactly. He went through guard training, which did not seem super extensive, to be honest, and then spent several weeks working there. So yeah, it was a really, really good book. We had a good conversation about it.
So all that you can get at Patreon. Look, even if you don't want to join for a month or whatever, you can join for 7 days for free. Or if you just want one of these episodes, Patreon lets you buy a single episode. And we sell it at the lowest price possible, which is, I believe, $3. So $3 to listen to Toby Ball talk about American Prison or see where Laura spread all that sardine oil throughout Exeter. So great stuff there. Remember, you can join us at patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media. Rebecca is not here, but I will just do what she does and fade that music out right now.
So, Kevin.
Yes.
Who's the sponsor for this episode of Crime Writers On?
Oh, we welcome a new sponsor. It's Rula Health.
Ooh.
Finding the right mental health care should be simple and affordable, but for many, it is not. You got long wait times and high costs, and so that means finding the right provider, it can really make getting help feel overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so that's where Rula comes in. Rula connects you with in-network licensed therapists that accept most major insurance, right? So it has been a very trying time for many people.
Yes.
And I always say, you don't maybe necessarily want to take everything that you're feeling
and put it on Facebook in a post?
Yeah, or tell your sister who's going to go because she might be the problem, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so you really want to talk to a professional, find somebody that you're comfortable with. That's where Rula comes in. They partner with a network of over 10,000 therapists and psychiatrists nationwide, enabling you to find your personalized solution and the right therapist for you based on your needs, preferences, and state requirements. So every therapist is carefully vetted, so you are in expert hands. And for the in-network covered care for most major insurances, you pay for as little as $15 per session.
Wow. So, join the thousands who have already turned to Rula for support on their journey to better mental health and well-being. Getting started is so easy. Just visit rula.com/CWO.
CWO.
Today. That's RULA.com/CWO.
CWO.
To connect with a licensed therapist who truly cares. Your mental health matters. Individual costs depend on your insurance and deductible.
Your Space Coast vacation is preparing for liftoff. Start counting down now. 10, 9, 8, 7. It's time for a beach vacay that feels like heaven. 6, 5, 4. Come explore Melbourne and the beaches. 3, 2, 1. It's time for some rocket-filled fun. Count down to your best beach vacation ever on Florida's Space Coast. Launch your planning now at visitspacecoast.com.
Kevin.
Yes, Rebecca.
Who's the next sponsor for this program?
Okay, we're brought to you by our friends at Hello Fresh.
Hello Fresh.
Hola Fresco. That's what you used to say all the time.
I know, hola Fresco.
Yeah, so fresh air, sunshine, and good food. That is what spring is all about.
Mm-hmm.
You just open up the deck here. We got that little picnic place to sit. Need to have
You mean my sophisticated outdoor table? Kevin?
Yeah. So we need to make some stuff quick. Bring it right out there. HelloFresh makes it easy for those home-cooked meals. They take no time at all.
Plate it up beautifully.
They've got great recipes like pasta primavera, chicken Dijon, and pecan-crusted trout.
Yum.
As well as over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats. Well, the final kid, we kicked him out.
Yes. We're empty nesters now.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really kick him out, but it was time to go. And,
He moved across town.
So you know what that means? An adjustment to the meal plan, which was so very easy to do at HelloFresh. Plus, they are also able to get us, items that we can take a little more time to make, but on the nights when we're recording.
Boom. Nice meal.
Nice meal.
Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/CWO10FM.
CWO10FM.
Right now to get 10 free meals.
10 free meals.
With a free item for life. That's HelloFresh.com/CWO10FM. One free item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as a discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. Kevin, who's the next sponsor for this program?
Oh, we're brought to you by our friends at Quince.
My best friends at Quince, you mean?
Yeah, look, we've been talking about sweaters, but now as the temperatures climb, it's easy to fall into the same old routine. Those familiar tank tops, worn-in shorts, worn-out shorts. The usual lineup, but Quince offers an effortless upgrade, elevated, easy prices that instantly refine the everyday uniform without the extra effort. So Quince is able to provide at great prices, couture, items that look great when you're out walking around. But Rebecca, you like the stuff that Quince offers that nobody gets to see.
That's right. Kevin, I just got some underwear from Quince, and it is rad. And it was so inexpensive. It was like a pack of underwear for like a really low price. I also did order a linen shirt, by the way. But the underwear is spectacular. It's got 5-star reviews for a reason. I endorse it personally.
Yeah, but don't forget, you still can get great things for the summer, like European linen shorts and dresses.
And
from
shirts.
$30. Italian leather platform sandals.
Nice.
And so much more. And they cut out the middleman so they can pass the savings on to you.
Hell yeah. Treat your closet to a little summer glow up with Quince. Go to quince.com/crime for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/crime to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/crime.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm alone here, but I'm going to mark myself down as CeCe being in the not credible category for a witness to a Me Too allegation. I don't know. Am I going out on a limb? I know we're supposed to believe women, but I don't know if we're supposed to believe this one.
Well, she's always blackout drunk.
She's right. She's got a lot of nerve saying that Senator Joe Biden was the one falling down drunk all those decades ago when she was supposed to be macking on Governor/Vice President Nelson Rockefeller. This is the weirdest sex scandal story that probably didn't happen that I've heard. Toby, you are you're a student of history. Does any of this ring true?
I'm not a student of that kind of history, but again, when you were talking about sort of attention seeking, I mean, I think that's exactly what this was. I'd be interested in the whole Rockefeller thing, although the people seem dubious. That certainly has a much better chance of actually having happened than the Biden thing. So I put the Biden thing at like 0% chance of having happened and the Rockefeller thing at like maybe 10%. But yeah, again, it sort of falls into this pattern. And I have to say, I listened to some of this like driving on these mountain roads with like torrential rains and stuff. And I was like trying to focus on that and also not like run off a cliff. But do they ever really talk about her childhood? Like what the basis of some of this stuff might have been?
Yeah, not the I mean, just we kind of get a little of the biographical stuff of her parents and her beauty pageant upbringing. But yeah, as far as like the Rosebud, I don't know if we got something like that. And I don't know if Ronan Farrow would ever be able to pull that out unless... And I do think that he does a pretty good job of trying to not psychoanalyze her, but definitely try to take the existing, evidence that's there and try to figure out what makes her tick. And, some of that has to do, and we don't get to this until the end. We know that she is a conservative Republican. That's very obvious from like all of the things that she'd been said and the way that she sort of positioned herself throughout her life here. But it has gone to the point, Megan, where she's kind of in that, conspiracy area. I don't want to say conspiracy adjacent because she's
not adjacent. She's right in it.
Yeah. And I want your thoughts on that. I kept thinking like, okay, this is somebody who, has sort of fallen into that area because it sort of reinforces and maybe it even instigates her fear of the outside world, right? The whole gated community thing. Farrow does a good job of sort of pointing this out, really got me thinking, but it also validates her attempts to alter reality to suit her own point of view in the big political sense, but also in the interpersonal sense. Her daughter kind of says this. It makes it easier to deny the inconvenient parts of her own history. What do you think about that aspect of CeCe?
So I think it's kind of like a chicken or the egg situation where like we don't know if she was already fearful of unknowns and she cultivated this life, and then everything that happened like with the heist and the being held at gunpoint is like feeding into that, or if that was the start of it, because it sounds like she came from privilege, like in a specific background where those thoughts would have been pretty common in her family, in her social group. Like, I think that that's just more of just how she was coming into the world. And she just took those thoughts and beliefs with her instead of them being created by an inciting incident. So it's really hard to tell if she was always like that and this just like validated all those feelings, or if it came later.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of believe the jewel heist, that story, I think, seems to ring true in part because it's not just her word, but all the other stuff, I completely believe it. I believe that she tried to get the pills from the maid or the home nurse or whatever she was. I think that she did send the letters to her first husband, threatening them, trying to get them to move. I mean, I believe all of it. Laura, so what about you? And certainly, like some of these incidents here, is it just because she's a big personality, does that mean that she could be very good or not so very good murderer?
I mean, the thing about her is like a lot of the stuff, I come away feeling like her personality, I'm like, oh, she's totally orchestrating this situation. And I can totally believe that she doesn't actually remember what happened in this situation or that situation. But the one that did kind of rub me the wrong way, and I actually felt like some sympathy for her in a different way that I hadn't necessarily felt as I was along for this ride, was when they were talking about that ex-husband who was like the DA, the one that was with her when this robbery happened. I think Ronan set it up very well because it was like CeCe's never quoted in the articles. The husband is the one that's driving sort of the narrative of what happened. He's the one who believes that like she was in on it, that she was part of this and everything.
Chuck even told the paper that the threats took a toll on CeCe, claiming she'd gone from being a social drinker to a substance abuser, mixing alcohol and drugs to, quote, try to get a little peace at home. This was all published for everyone in the community to see. That raised questions for me, too.
And he admits, that husband, like, yeah, he thought he was going to go on like the money train or whatever, and like he was going to live the lifestyle. So that's why he hooked up with her. But I felt like I did come away from that feeling like, okay, this is a situation where this woman, I feel like, was taken advantage of in a way that, yeah, I don't condone. Like, obviously, you know, it doesn't seem like she has accountability for anything she does, especially the way that she portrays herself. But that whole situation where he is then also in the newspaper talking about how she was traumatized and that's like driven her to drink and all this stuff, I just felt like, if my partner did something like that in public, and then it just seemed kind of shitty. Yeah. But it kind of set up that like there's this very complex character because there's more to her than just this larger than life personality who's just like super dramatic and all this, you know, oh, I'm not reading it, I'm not doing this, I'm not all that stuff. There's actually this marriage that sounded like a disaster to the point that the court, when they split, even though he had like adopted her daughter, the court was like, neither one of these people is getting these kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. So in that situation, you can kind of wonder and sort of hypothesize, like, is that when her underlying issues kind of increased, snowballed, whatever, because that just sounds like it was not a good place.
Yeah, Toby, some of us have to wait until our kids get to be teenagers before we get to be shitty parents, but it certainly sounds like CeCe was ready to be a crappy parent from jump.
Yeah, this idea that her 2-year-old was physically abusing her is quite something. It's hard to even know what to say. Like, if you were out somewhere and you saw a grown woman bite a baby,
it just sounds so much worse.
I think I would just be like stunned. Like, I don't know what I would be able to do. But so it's strange. It kind of points to immaturity or lack of empathy or just such self-involvement. It's bizarre.
It didn't sound like she wanted to have the kids, really.
Yeah.
Like she didn't want to be a mother.
You know, who knows what she feels like. And she gives a little bit of lip service to it, I guess. But she doesn't really seem like the absence of her kids in her life is this hugely traumatic thing that I think would be for a lot of people.
She says that it affects her, but it kind of seems more in a self-centered way rather than a loss of the relationship way.
Yeah. I mean, I think just even like her reaction to when Ronan sort of reports back on her daughter who changed her name, you know, her reaction is basically sort of what you would do if you weren't taking any responsibility for the breakdown in the relationship at all.
You know, Megan, it seems like Ronan Farrow was able to bring sort of his lived experience with, we'll say, a dysfunctional family, you know, trying to not insert himself in that, but it really did kind of inform the way that he reported this, right?
Yeah, I really liked that short bit where he's talking to that daughter because she's kind of like, you know, you understand. And that really just kind of vulnerable moment between the interviewer and the interviewee, I thought was really nice. And I was glad that they included it.
Do you feel like doing this piece is providing you with some, what's the word? I don't want to use the word vindication, but like some sort of healing for yourself and your own story?
Talking to someone like you is really valuable to me because you've been through a ton and it's very different, but also there's commonalities.
I kind of wanted to hear more about that, but I understand why he wouldn't, because he's already done many projects about his own family. So I understand why he didn't want to take up more time with it. But I did really like that.
So as long as we're talking about Ronan Farrow here, why does he got to keep bringing TV crews with him when he's doing podcasts?
He's multitasking. Like, remember when you were a freelancer, Kevin? I don't know if and I was like a freelance writer, and I'd be like, I can parlay the same story into 3 different things and get paid 3 different times. Or I don't know, does it make the people feel special that they're on camera?
Yeah, but I mean, is this going to be the first of like 5 different versions on 5 different platforms? Like between the magazine article and the book and the audiobook and the podcast and the HBO series about the making of the podcast, he squeezed every drop out of the catch and kill orange that he possibly could. Sometimes a thing can just be a thing though, right?
Right.
I don't know how much interest there will be in like a full-length documentary on this lady, but I don't know.
I don't know. They got video. I haven't, I thought, oh, maybe there'll be stuff on TikTok. I haven't seen that, but he's always, thinking a couple steps ahead. But I do want to ask you guys this question. He definitely says, as he's doing this in-person interview, and of course, this is after months and months of already talking to her, interviewing her, tape of her, getting a sense for who she is. But when they finally go to do this sit-down interview, it's clear that she's getting drunk. Should he have continued the interview?
I mean, she consented to it when she was sober, so...
Laura, as far as an ethical question here, professional ethical question, at some point, did he have the responsibility? I mean, they take breaks, he's very considerate of that, but is that a red line?
Well, that's interesting. I think about what I do when I'm doing like PI interviews, and it's like, if I go in somewhere and I see somebody's like doing drugs, I'm like, I'm out of here, I'm not staying. Like, I can't be around anything illegal because then I'm a witness to that or whatever, but I think you also, like, I have definitely interviewed people who have been under the influence of substances because I'm like, this is kind of their normal, like, operating, persona, and this is where they're at. And I don't know if I'm going to ever find the person when they're not in this state. But as a journalist, I don't know, because it could border on, are you taking advantage of this person and asking them questions when they're in a compromised state and a vulnerable state because they are drinking? But It sounds like from the way that he's described her, she's always drinking. So it's like, when do you interview her? At like 7 a.m? And then she's still probably drunk from the day before. Like, I don't know. It's a really hard question.
Toby, when you were putting together Strange Arrivals, did anybody threaten to slap you?
That's a good question. They probably waited until after the show came out and then they wanted to, but I wasn't taking their calls. Yeah, I don't, this whole thing, like, I honestly was a little uncomfortable with it because, it's one thing if you're like hanging out with somebody who's having a couple of drinks, but when you're with somebody who, has an alcohol problem and you're just interviewing them as they get drunker and drunker, like, I wouldn't do it. that to me feels problematic.
Do you not want to talk about the robbery anymore?
I can talk about it.
Okay.
But don't say I faked the robbery. The kidnapping and the robbery. Don't say it. Don't you ever say it. Because
I know, it was a painful, hard thing.
It still affects me to this day.
It's hard to know exactly what the situation was when he was doing it, how much he was monitoring it. There may be stuff that we didn't hear when she got super sloppy and he was like, all right, up until this point, she was like weird, but kind of lucid. And then she just completely lost it. So it's hard to know, but I think it is like, I wouldn't be comfortable, after somebody had like 3 drinks or something to continue interviewing them. Cause quite honestly, I wouldn't want somebody to do that to me. Because again, your inhibitions, your sort of guardedness that I think most people have when they're being interviewed, like that all gets compromised and not in a good way for them.
Yeah. I'll give them credit for being transparent. I think that's, at the very least, you owe your audience that. And, like we have said before, that when you do something like this, you either betray your subject or you betray the audience. And I don't think he wanted to betray us as an audience. I think he wanted to be as open as possible. And this definitely means having to betray CeCe as far as her feelings and what she would like the story to be, because she has some very, very strong opinions about herself and her life story. But Toby, one other thing, though, you liked a certain turn of phrase that Ronan Farrow had here in his writing.
Yeah, at one point he says that privilege curdles into fear, which I thought was really, it's a good turn of phrase, and it's also a good observation about a dynamic that seems to happen again and again. And I think we come up with it sometimes in stuff that we do, but I think just sort of in general, like either knowing people or hearing about people. And it kind of feels like that in some ways without getting super political, but that seems a little bit of like what Fox News's sort of model is creating a situation where you fear that your standing in society is going to be lost, and that kind of plays in. And she's got Fox News going on all the time. So anyway, I thought that was a good sort of concise little summing up of a dynamic that you kind of see playing out as she talks.
Hey, I'm Paul Scheer.
I'm June Diane Raphael.
And I'm Jason Mantzoukas. And we're the hosts of How Did This Get Made, a comedy podcast where we deconstruct, make fun of, and celebrate the best, worst movies ever made. Have you ever seen a movie that's so bad that it's actually good? That's what we're talking about.
From blockbuster franchises and made-for-TV romances
to bonkers 80s action flicks and obscure sci-fi musicals, we cover it all. You can find How Did This Get Made wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode, idiot.
Planning a trip this year? Travel smarter and connect deeper by learning the local language with Rosetta Stone. With over 30 years of experience, Rosetta Stone's immersive, intuitive method helps you live the language, not just memorize it. Choose from over 25 languages, including Spanish, French, Japanese, and more. Their true accent speech recognition technology gives real-time feedback to help perfect your pronunciation. No translations, just natural learning that builds from words to phrases to full conversations. Whether you have 5 minutes or an hour, you can learn anytime on desktop or mobile. Get a lifetime membership and unlock all 25 languages. Learn as much as you want, whenever you want. Rosetta Stone. Learn confidently. Connect authentically. Don't wait. Unlock your language learning potential now. Listeners can grab Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for life. Visit rosettastone.com/pod50 to get started and claim your 50% off today. Don't miss out. Go to rosettastone.com/pod50 and start learning today.
All right, let's do what we do. Let's tell our listeners whether or not they should listen to Not a Very Good Murderer. It's an Audible original, also brought to you by Neon Hum. So it's not in your, we should have said this before, it's not in your public podcast feed, but if you are an Audible subscriber, you can listen to it. You also can purchase it. That's the way you can do it. But let's see, thumbs up or thumbs down for Not a Very Good Murderer. Megan Malgares, what do you think?
I'm going to go thumbs up. I love pretty much anything that Ronan Farrow puts out, and I think this one is great. It might not change the world or put someone in behind bars or anything, but it was just really good, very propulsive. Loved listening to it and wanted to know what crazy shenanigans were coming up. And also, I just love his narration style and his writing. And very big thumbs up for me. I actually rejoined Audible just to listen to it, and I have no regrets.
Laura Bricker, thumbs up or thumbs down for Not a Very Good Murderer?
Yeah, this is a big thumbs up for me. This was something that I looked forward to listening to every time I got in my car or went on my walk. It was kind of, a cross between a character study, a true crime story, kind of a commentary on journalism and how somebody develops sources. And I think it was very transparent. Ronan Farrow's reporting process in this, which I thought was really interesting, and how he did develop the source and the relationship with this woman over years in order to tell this story. But it's just a story that gets you right from like the first 5 minutes. You're like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a ride. I love eccentric people and eccentric characters. This character was very flawed, very interesting, very complex. And I think the way that Ronan tells the story is so engaging that you just want to keep listening and want to keep listening. So this was a big thumbs up for me.
Toby Ball, thumbs up or thumbs down for Not a Very Good Murderer?
Yeah, so this kind of felt like somebody who's really, really good at what they do, sort of tackling a not overly ambitious project. It's a look at somebody who has, fairly significant issues, I think. And it's not really played for amusement, but it is sort of a check out this lady and sort of her wild life and her wild accusations and stuff. She is a genuinely kind of interesting person to hear from and learn more about. That being said, again, the sort of scope is very, very, very small. It does feel kind of like a minor thing when you take a look at the stuff that he's produced. That being said, it's an easy listen. I looked forward to it. It was enjoyable. So I give it a thumbs up nevertheless.
Yeah, I'm going thumbs up on this as well. I mean, I think that Ronan Farrow does a really great job presenting this story. It's got elements of the Confessions of Anthony Raimundi, but maybe just someone who's a little more circumspect, and S-Town. It takes a story that could be one thing and makes it into a very interesting character study. I'll just say what Rebecca told me, and she would have been a thumbs up if she were here, that she feels like there ought to be more podcasts like this that doesn't necessarily have to swing for the fences or try to change the world, but interesting character studies can be interesting. I think that Ronan Farrow is sort of a leader in the journalism procedural genre. He makes it very illuminating, but also entertaining for the audience. It's really good look at a woman and not just her unusual life, but also it looks at the different ways families can break down, the destruction that we can cause, and the things that we do ourselves to sabotage our own life, and sort of the helplessness of the folks around who love you and would like to see something better for you. And it's also about somebody trying to kill somebody with Viagra. So, I mean, that is a...
Got it all.
That's a huge... It's got it all. It's got it all. This podcast has everything. So for me, I remain a big thumbs up for Not a Very Good Murderer. All right, now it's time for Rebecca's favorite part of the podcast, a little something she likes to call the Crime of the Week. Authorities in South Carolina are investigating the death of a man believed to have been killed while boxing a kangaroo at a petting zoo. Police say Eric Slate died from blunt force injuries at the children's zoo his brother operates. Folks say Slate often got in the pen with a kangaroo named Jack and would roughhouse with him. The victim's body was discovered within the enclosure filled with roos and wallabies. Bucks are known to fight rivals using jabs and kicks that look like MMA moves. Wildlife experts say kangaroos use boxing not to attack, but to protect themselves from perceived threats. And like most wild animals, they discourage humans from picking a fight with them. The zoo owner says that he will never forget his brother and will never forget how the kangaroo left a paw print on his face, but authorities say the animal will not need to be euthanized after this incident. Okay, panel, let's file this one under surprised but not shocked. What's the next bad idea someone will have at this petting zoo? Megan.
There are no right answers here.
Yeah, maybe trying to brush the camel's teeth or something.
Especially if they've been smoking, right? That's rough. Laura Bricker, how about you?
Well, I don't know if this is at the petting zoo, but all I can think of is like trying to put your head inside like a crocodile's mouth to take some dramatic picture and then actually just getting your head chopped off.
What kind of petting zoo do you go to that's got crocodiles?
I mean, they would have them in Texas.
Yeah. Some
or
places
Louisiana.
you go in and they're like, oh, look at this little crocodile.
You go into the pen
can
and there's like baby goats and a crocodile.
Not together.
Toby Ball, what do you think? What's the next bad idea at that petting zoo?
Well, I think Laura Bricker is going to show up and rub some sardine oil on herself and hop in.
Yeah, that's bad. I have to say, turning it into a heavy petting zoo might be really bad. All right, so that's going to do it for us. Before we go, Megan Melgares, thank you so much for joining us, filling in for Rebecca.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
So if you're willing to be stalked on social media, where can people find you?
So I'm not really online, but I am a librarian. So I would like to encourage everybody to write to your representatives and tell them to fund the IMLS because we are all scrambling with funding right now. So that would be very much appreciated.
That's great. That's a great suggestion. Laura Bricker, give us your lame ass. Does not be as good as that kind of suggestion for how to reach out to you.
If your cat goes missing and you need some sardine oil, you can find me at Laura Bricker on Blue Sky or on Instagram.
And Toby Ball, where can folks find you?
I'm at Toby Ball NH on Blue Sky, and I think I'm going to have to start upping my game on some of these other things, but that'll be in the future.
I'm at Kevin P. Flynn, just about everywhere. You can find this show on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube, Blue Sky, and TikTok. And we encourage you to join our amazing community in our official Crime Writers On Facebook discussion group. Maybe someone will get sick or get double booked, and we'll ask you in that Facebook who did the homework and would like to come on this stupid podcast with us. It has happened. Our theme song was composed and performed by Ty Gibbons. Our line editor is the wonderful Livy Burdett. The executive producer is me, motherfucker.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. This show was recorded in Studio C, the closet in our New Hampshire basement, where we also think everything is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks for listening. We'll catch you later. All right, let's do what we do. Should our listeners... she just always does this so well.
Well, she's had 580 times to practice it.
We've heard them all.
Yeah.
And Sheller just says, let's do what we do. And I figure by now I should have known. You just all of a sudden realize, no, you don't know the words to that song. Okay, hang on. All right.
Partners in Crime Media.
Hey, I'm Paul Scheer.
I'm June Diane Raphael.
And I'm Jason Mantzoukas. And we're the hosts of How Did This Get Made, a comedy podcast where we deconstruct, make fun of, and celebrate the best, worst movies ever made. Have you ever seen a movie that's so bad that it's actually good? That's what we're talking about.
From blockbuster franchises and made-for-TV romances
to bonkers 80s action flicks and obscure sci-fi musicals, we cover it all. You can find How Did This Get Made wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to follow the show so you never miss an episode, idiot.
Imagine relying on a dozen different software programs to run your business, none of which are connected, and each one more expensive and more complicated than the last. It can be pretty stressful. Now imagine Odoo. Odoo has all the programs you'll ever need, and they're all connected on one platform. Doesn't Odoo sound amazing? Let Odoo harmonize your business with simple, efficient software that can handle everything for a fraction of the price. Sign up today at odoo.com. That's odoo.com.
This season, let your shoes do the talking. Designer Shoe Warehouse is packed with fresh styles that speak to your whole vibe without saying a word. From cool sneakers that look good with everything, to easy sandals you'll want to wear on repeat, DSW has you covered. Find a shoe for every you from the brands you love, like Birkenstock, Nike, Adidas, New Balance, and more. Head to your DSW store or visit DSW.com today.